My favorite car. It's tough, man. That's a hard question for a guy like me because I love all kinds of cars. I love anything from classics to muscle cars to street rods to exotic cars. So for me to narrow it down to one it's almost impossible.
You think you know Danny Koker? The tattooed, gruff mechanic from Counting Cars? Prepare for a bombshell. For 30 years, the world only saw a fraction of this man. Today, we're diving deep into the untold story. 3 profound truths Danny Koker kept under wraps. Why most of the cars you see on TV aren't actually his. What his true passion and real profession outside the garage are, and how his famous gospel-singing father held the key to understanding this entire man. This isn't just a revelation. It's a complete reintroduction to the Counting Cars legend. So, how did one man manage to live such a convincing double life? To find the answer, we have to go back to Danny's childhood in Cleveland, where the first seeds of 2 opposing worlds were sown. Biography. Danny Koker was born on January 5, 1964, in Cleveland, Ohio, a declining steel city that was also the birthplace of American rock and roll. 2 completely opposite bloodlines ran through the boy's veins. On one side, the Detroit side of his family worked at Ford Motor Company, where the smell of oil and the clang of metal were everyday sounds. On the other side was his father, Daniel Koker Sr., a renowned baritone singer for the Cathedral Quartet and Rex Humbard Singers. From a very young age, Danny traveled with gospel troops across America. He listened to hymns in churches while secretly admiring the Cadillacs parked in the lot. That was the first moment these 2 worlds collided within him. 2 bloodlines in Cleveland. When Danny was 8, his father gave him his first motorcycle. For most kids, it was a gift of freedom. For Danny, it was an experiment kit. He took it apart, laid each component on the garage floor, then put it back together. The first time, it failed. The second time, the engine roared to life. That was the first time he understood that machines never lie. They only react to what human hands do to them. Meanwhile, Danny's mother had a different plan for him. She wanted him to become a pastor, continuing the family's spiritual tradition. Every Sunday, Danny stood in the church choir with a white shirt and a hymn book in hand. Every Saturday night, he was under the neighbors' cars, earning a few bucks. At 16, Danny did the first thing he would continue to do his entire life. He used money he earned singing in church to buy an old car, then hid it at a friend's house. His parents knew nothing. That was the first lie, and the official start of a double life that lasted 3 decades. Cleveland in the 1970s and 1980s wasn't an easy place to live. Steel factories closed en masse, workers lost jobs, and the whole city carried an atmosphere of forgotten dreams. In this context, a teenager with 2 opposing passions felt like he didn't belong anywhere. At church, he had to suppress his love for engines. In the garage, he had to hide his passion for music. Both parts of him could never truly live at the same time. This suppression lasted until he was 26. That's when Danny decided to leave Cleveland to find a place big enough for both sides of himself. That place wasn't Detroit, it wasn't Nashville, it was Las Vegas. But what could a teenager with a wrench and a singing voice do in the Nevada desert? Las Vegas, 1990, where the garage and the stage begin to coexist. Danny arrived in Las Vegas in 1990 with no business plan, no investors, just his painting skills, and a belief that this city would accept both parts of him. He rented a small space and hung a sign, Count's Customs. The early years were tough. From 1990 to 1996, the shop faced closure multiple times. There were nights Danny slept in the garage, using an air compressor as a pillow, eating instant noodles for dinner. Customers came and went, but the bills never stopped. During this time, he started taking a rather unusual part-time job. The local TV station launched a weekend horror movie show called Saturday Fright at the Movies. They needed a host with a distinctive look. Danny, with his height, beard, and a style that was both rocker and bizarre, was the perfect choice. He appeared on screen as the Count, a vampire-esque host guiding viewers through B-movies of the 50s and 60s. That nickname stuck with him ever since. The real origin of the Count wasn't from Dracula. A drinking buddy once joked that Danny looked like a vampire because he worked all night and slept all day. That joke gradually became his brand. 20 years later, it would be the name of a multi-million-dollar empire. The real turning point came when Danny invested in opening Count's Vamped Rock Bar, partnering with Vince Neil, the lead singer of Mötley Crüe. Vamped wasn't just a bar, it was the meeting point of his two halves. During the day, Danny was covered in Bondo dust in the garage. At night, he was on stage at Vamped or lost in the crowd of rock fans dancing to guitar riffs. His friendship with Vince Neil went beyond business. Some nights, they jammed until 4 a.m. It was Vince who urged Danny to do something he had always avoided. "You need to make music seriously. Don't just sing for fun anymore." That comment sowed the seeds for a band later named Count's 77, though it took many years to form. The first night Danny stood on the Vamped stage as the lead singer, he realized something that his childhood in Cleveland never allowed him. He no longer had to choose between two worlds. Both were coexisting in one city, under one roof, within one person. But a bar and a local shop weren't enough to build an empire. The real leap came from an unexpected phone call, the Pawn Stars spotlight, and the TV storm. In 2009, Rick Harrison, owner of the gold and silver pawn shop, called Danny at 2 a.m. A customer had just brought in a classic car, and Rick didn't know how to appraise it. In Las Vegas at that hour, no one else was skilled or sober enough to go see that car. Danny drove over within 20 minutes. That call lasted less than half an hour, but it changed his entire career. The TV show Pawn Stars was then the History Channel's most popular program. When Rick invited Danny to appear as a car and motorcycle expert, no one predicted the audience's reaction. After just a few episodes, Danny became one of the show's most beloved characters. Viewers started sending letters and comments, asking to see more of him. The History Channel initially didn't want to make a separate spin-off for Danny. They thought a Vegas mechanic wasn't appealing enough to carry an independent show. That decision only changed when the audience pressure became too great to ignore. In August 2012, Counting Cars officially aired. The show followed Danny and the Count's customs team, Kevin, Horny Mike, and Rolly, through their deals, restorations, and sales of classic American cars. The combination of Danny's personality and the spectacular transformations of the cars made Counting Cars one of the History Channel's most popular shows. Money started flowing in at an unprecedented rate. Danny's income was estimated at around $100,000 per episode, equivalent to $1.6 million a year from the TV show alone. After 20 years of struggling with bills and customers, he finally achieved financial stability. But the price was not small. Fans started showing up at his house. The shop had to install security cameras everywhere. Every time he went out, he had to be prepared to be recognized. Danny once said in an interview that he traded anonymity for an empire, and it was an irreversible deal. With millions of new viewers watching every week, the question was what Danny was doing with all that money and fame. The answer would shock everyone. The 30-year secret explodes. The singer is the real deal. Most viewers believed Danny Koker was a TV star, and his music was just a hobby. The truth was the complete opposite. Danny is a professional musician, and Counting Cars is just his day job. The band Count's 77 was born from a jam session at Vamped. Danny met guitarists John Zito and Stoney Curtis, bassist Barry Barnes, and drummer Paul DeCibio. The chemistry between the five was immediate. The name Count's 77 was a tribute to the 1970s, the decade of hard rock, blues, and heavy metal that shaped Danny's entire musical soul. The band signed with Shrapnel Records, a label that had released master guitarists in the rock world. They released their self-titled debut album, followed by Soul Transfusion. In 2014, they released a critically acclaimed album, which was played on professional rock radio stations. This wasn't a frivolous project by a TV star. This was a real band with real music. While Counting Cars viewers thought Danny was resting after filming, he was actually on a plane. His schedule was almost insane. Friday afternoon, he'd finish filming the weekend episode. Friday night, he'd fly to another city. Saturday night, he'd perform rock until 2 a.m. Monday morning, he'd fly back to Las Vegas to start a new week of filming. That schedule was maintained almost continuously for 10 years. The moment the secret exploded came in 2014. A fan accidentally saw Danny performing at a small bar in Las Vegas and recorded it on their phone. The video quickly went viral on YouTube. Millions of Counting Cars fans were shocked to realize their mechanic was actually a heavy metal frontman with an impressive voice, performing with a professional band to an enthusiastic crowd of rock fans. In a subsequent interview, Danny said the phrase that completely changed how fans viewed him. "I fix cars to fund my music, not the other way around." A sentence that everyone had misunderstood for 10 years was finally clarified. Every time he stepped on stage, Danny wore his father's cross. Daniel Koker Sr. had passed away years ago, but music was always the bond between father and son. In an interview, Danny admitted that when he sings, he feels his father is still there. The guitar and microphone accomplished what even the rarest Corvette couldn't. It brought his father back, if only for a few minutes. This is when the curtain was truly pulled back. Counting Cars viewers realized they had been watching the wrong main character for 10 years. Danny wasn't a singer who also fixed cars. He was a musician who owned a car TV show. But if rock and roll was his true passion, how did the financial machine behind the Count operate? Corey and the Silent Financial Machine. To understand Danny Koker's finances, you need to look beyond the History Channel checks. TV salary is the most visible part, around $100,000 per episode. But that only accounts for about 20% of his total income. The rest comes from a complex business network built quietly over many years. Count's Customs is the center of everything. While the show films entertaining deals, the shop maintains a list of high-end clients off-camera. Wealthy collectors and classic car enthusiasts come to Count's Customs for restoration projects and custom paint jobs, willing to pay 5- to 6-figure prices. The shop has 9 full-time employees and a waiting list that stretches for months. Beyond Count's Customs, Danny also owns Count's Vamped Rock Bar and Grill. Not just a bar, but a consistently profitable venue in Las Vegas. He also owns Count's Tattoo Company, located in the Rio All-Suite Hotel. Plus, there's Count's Car Tours, a service that takes fans to visit his car collection. And the most profitable yet little-known segment, merchandise, shirts, hats, and souvenirs with the Count brand. Behind this entire machine is Corey Koker, Danny's wife. They married in 2015, but had been working together long before that. Corey manages the band, runs the bar, and oversees the off-camera business operations. She almost never appears on the show, has no public Instagram, and doesn't give interviews. That absence once sparked rumors in 2018 that Danny and Corey had broken up. Many fans believed it, because how could a famous couple never appear publicly together? The truth was clarified later. Corey deliberately kept her distance from the media to protect their business and personal safety. In a world where fans can track you down to your home, anonymity is the most valuable asset. Danny once summarized his philosophy in a short sentence. "The cameras made me famous, but what happens after the cameras turn off is what made me rich." When you add it all up, TV salary, shop profits, bar revenue, merchandise sales, and increasing asset value over time, Danny Koker's total net worth is estimated at around $13 million. But there's one part of that empire that even the most loyal fans misunderstand. That's the cars, the garage full of American dreams. The reality behind the glamour. When Danny stands next to a freshly painted Cadillac and calls it "my car" on TV, There's an important truth behind that statement. That car might not actually be his personal property. The collection in the Count's Customs showroom includes over 55 cars and more than 70 motorcycles. Most are muscle cars, hot rods, classic Cadillacs, and Harleys. Among them is a 1972 Lamborghini Miura, the crown jewel of the collection, estimated to be worth around $2 million, and the only one Danny claims he will never sell. But most of the other cars tell a different story. Approximately 70% of the cars featured on Counting Cars are sold shortly after the episode finishes filming. Viewers assume Danny keeps them as souvenirs. In reality, he's more of a professional car dealer than a pure collector. This operating method is not wrong and not a secret. Count's Customs is a fully legal LLC business. The cars on the show are inventory, not personal assets. When a car is restored on camera, it's both entertainment content and a product to be sold to a customer or put up for auction. Profits go back into the business fund to finance the next, bigger, and more ambitious project. For Danny, each car isn't property, but a chapter in American history. When he restores a 1957 Chevy or a 60s Cadillac, he's keeping a piece of American culture alive. Selling it isn't a loss. It's transferring a piece of history to the next owner, who will continue to keep the car on the road. But there's one car that never appears on the show, is never restored, and is never put up for sale. That's Danny's father's old car. It sits in a hidden corner of the garage, still intact with its scratches and faded paint after decades. When asked why he doesn't restore it, Danny simply says, "Some things aren't for sale." That's the only car in his entire empire that is priceless. Conclusion and aftermath. Danny Koker's journey goes from a Cleveland kid with two bloodlines to the man who built a brand living most authentically on two American dreams, the open road and the rock stage. The lesson from this story isn't in the numbers or the cars, it's in how Danny dared to live fully with both of his identities and turned them into a smart business machine instead of letting them tear him apart. Most people spend their lives choosing between two selves. Danny chose both and built an empire on that very choice. But there's one more truth even the most dedicated fans don't know yet. This year, Danny turned 60. In recent interviews, he started mentioning the story of succession. Who will continue to keep the flame of Count's Customs burning when he steps down? Who will pick up the guitar and microphone for Count's 77? The answer isn't yet known, but the question has been asked. So, what do you think? Is Danny a singing mechanic or a rocker who fixes cars? Comment below. Your answer will reveal which generation of his fans you belong to. For 30 years, Danny Koker has taught us a lesson. You don't have to choose between two people within yourself. You just need to be brave enough to live with both. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more little-known stories about famous personalities. The next video is on screen now. Click it, because you won't want to miss it.